We all want prosperity for families, communities, countries, and for the world. We want people to not only have food and shelter, but a good standard of living, education, healthcare, a fair society, and a clean environment. That's what we mean by prosperity. But what is the surest path to prosperity? Academics, policymakers, and citizens have been debating the matter for a very long time. Some say that free societies produce the best outcomes by unleashing the creativity and talent of individual citizens. Others say that focusing on the individual is too chaotic and ultimately inefficient, that a strong central authority produces the best results. The Freedom and Prosperity Center at the Atlantic Council, a think tank in Washington, D.C., contributes facts and figures to this debate through our annual Freedom and Prosperity Indexes. We built a Freedom Index to measure economic and political freedom and the rule of law in 164 countries. Each score reflects measurements of several indicators. Together, they create a comprehensive and unique measurement of freedom. We also built a Prosperity Index to measure income, health, education, the environment, treatment of minorities, and inequality in the same 164 countries. A prosperous society should be judged on more than just income per capita. Our index gives us a holistic view of prosperity. In the Freedom Index, we rank countries into 4 tiers based on their total scores: high freedom, moderate freedom, low freedom, and lowest freedom. In the Prosperity Index, we rank countries as high prosperity, moderate prosperity, low prosperity, and lowest prosperity. We have 3 key takeaways from the resulting data. Our first takeaway is that there is a strong correlation between our freedom and prosperity scores. We show a 0.71 correlation between a country's scores in the 2 indexes. This means high values for freedom are associated with high values for prosperity, and low values for freedom are associated with low values for prosperity. On average, the freer the country, the higher it will score in all 6 measures of prosperity. Income scores show that free countries are far and away the richest. People born in free countries are also healthier and live substantially longer. Citizens of freer countries have access to better education and spend more time learning. Environment scores indicate that freer countries have cleaner environments. Wealth in free countries is more evenly distributed among citizens. And finally, unfree countries are also less tolerant. This leads to our second takeaway. Evidence suggests that freedom contributes to prosperity. But how much exactly? We ranked all countries based on how their freedom has improved since 1995, splitting them into 3 equal groups: those with a small improvement in freedom, those with a moderate change, and those with a high change. As we see, the countries improving the most in freedom saw the biggest improvements in prosperity. We also see that gaps between each group widen over time, showing that increased freedom has an exponential effect on prosperity. But what about countries where freedom decreased? Here, we organized countries into 2 groups: those that made significant strides towards more freedom and those that sharply reduced their freedom. We then looked at the impact on prosperity in those countries over 20 years. As we saw before, countries that improved their freedom saw increased prosperity. But what we also see is that countries that restricted freedom saw a negative impact on prosperity. And the impact grows over time. In the first years, the difference between these countries can seem marginal, but in the long term, prosperity in these countries will be far apart. Peru and Venezuela are prime examples. In 1995, Venezuela was a freer country than Peru, but at the turn of the century, Peru made a clear turn towards freedom. It is one of the top improvers in our data. In contrast, Venezuela shows the largest decrease in freedom of all the countries we cover. Venezuela had a higher prosperity score than Peru in 1995, but by 2023, the two countries had switched positions. Our third takeaway is that autocracies generally fail to deliver prosperity for their people, while free countries succeed. Of the 30 countries ranked at the top of our freedom rankings, 28 are in the top category of our prosperity index, and 2 are in the next highest category. None are in the bottom 2 categories of prosperity. Of the 30 countries ranked at the bottom of our freedom index, 15 are in the lowest category of our prosperity index, 11 are in the next lowest category, and just 4 in the moderate prosperity category. None are in the high prosperity category. Our indexes demonstrate that there is a strong relationship between freedom and prosperity, and we have reason to believe that improvements in freedom will, over time, lead to greater and more durable prosperity. Please visit the website for the Atlantic Council's Freedom and Prosperity Indexes. The interactive capabilities of the website allow you to compare detailed data across time for countries and regions. All our indexes information and our annual report can be downloaded for further analysis.